academic philosophy, particularly as it became more and more professionalized and institutionalized throughout the Western world and the United States in particular, became an academic arena within which people assigned themselves an authoritative responsibility for determining what human reason is and how it functions best, and from which to derive its principles, which principles are supposed to determine whether or not reasoning has functioned appropriately and be able to evaluate particularly human behavior and human actions and human comportment generally. That gives us the area of ethics, human behavior and actions, and whether or not those actions and behavior are in accord with certain principles that determine whether that behavior is right, good, ethical, etc., and in accord with the principles of reason. And supposedly, there are these principles, laws that structure how reason works when it works properly. And those persons called philosophers who work on this are supposed to be the authorities, the sole authorities on how this works. And for laying out both what the nature of the capacity is and what the principles are when this capacity is exercised properly, etc. And this has been institutionalized all across the Western world and beyond, and in the United States as well. I want to add to your consideration a work that I recently was asked to comment on. It's a book by a philosopher named Naomi Zack. It's one of her latest book. The title of the book is The Ethics and Mores of Race. The pertinence of the book to this gathering is that one of the things that Naomi Zack is trying to do is to really ask the question, what would be an appropriate ethical account to deal with a society that has a history of invidious racism and ethnocentrism, particularly a history of enslavement? What would be the most appropriate ethical principles for such a society? And one of the things that Naomi does is to go back and look at all of the canonical theories of ethics in Western philosophy, starting with Plato and Aristotle and working our way all up into the contemporary thing, and looking at all the major theories, virtue ethics, contract theory, Rousseau and Locke, those kind of people, utilitarianism theories, rationalist accounts of reason, Kant, for example, even pragmatist accounts of reason. What Naomi concludes by working back through this history is every one of those accounts of reason was developed and articulated by a person who was a member of a society in which slavery, the oppression of women, genocide against other peoples were standard practices that their theories never attended to. Every one of them. Every one of them. Take contract theory. Take Kant, as Harris has pointed out. Take these canonical theoreticians of ethics, look at who they were, where they were, and what do those accounts have to say about some of the worst atrocities ever visited upon human beings? Literally nothing. You can virtually go anywhere in this country and get a PhD in philosophy, including ethics, and never have to read a history book about the United States, and never have to deal either with genocide of native peoples, misnamed Indians by a European who was lost, or the enslavement and otherwise oppression of people of African descent in the United States of the Western Hemisphere. Never have to deal with it. Again, as a wise person has said, reason is a whore who will sleep with anyone. That leads me to my other second provocative statement. open for discussion, which you will take up, I hope, and rescue me from my own misguided considerations and ignorance. That is, people of color who have any knowledge of their histories cannot, in their right minds, ever leave it to white folks to develop any scheme of ethics that will have anything to do with them, and they have not participated in the development and critique of that scheme. Ever. Again. It is not in the interest of people of color to ever leave white folks to themselves to come up with any such thing ever again, if we can help it. They cannot be left to themselves to think up such things as ethics. As a corollary